This lecture is going to be a bit of a review and a refactoring together and some new material that covers the basics of programming. We want to get up and running very quickly in writing Android apps in this class, but we tend to hit a wall where we have to know a little bit about programming, and we might not have had any programming background before. So in the previous lecture, which was the quiz review, I discussed several of these items. What string do you pass to an intent, the difference between implicit and explicit intent, and start activity for result. In this video, we're going to look deeper at an example of start activity for result, and we're going to take a look at some JavaDoc. That was a question. What is JavaDoc? Why do we use it? And we're going to take a look at some fundamental concepts of programming. What are classes? What are objects? What are variables? What's a constructor? So to start with, we have to remember that at this point, we have two paths throughout our organization. Now, this is easiest to see when we take a look at our storyboard, because we see that, and I realize it's probably a little bit small on your screen, but what we have is a beginning page here, and then we can go to GPS a plant. GPS a plant will take us to the search screen. Search screen will take us to search results. The idea then is we take those results back to the GPS a plant screen, because what we want to do is we want to be able to associate a plant with a GPS. We don't want to type in new text every single time we have a plant. And the reason is, if we take a look at something like the pawpaw, okay, what we'll see is that we have this concept of a plant called a pawpaw. And we want to GPS where this pawpaw is around the world, okay? And we have to associate the GPS positions with this specific plant so that we can see a list of them collected together. If we relied on a user to just type in information, we wouldn't be able to have these multiple bullet points. And if I zoom out here a little bit, hopefully you can see more of them. We wouldn't be able to associate these multiple bullet points together. So to get this association that multiple GPS points represent a pawpaw, we have to be able to select that pawpaw and return that pawpaw plant back to the GPS screen. Now, the other path that we have is that we can just search for a plant and take it to the details screen. So that's what we've already done in our app. If I go to search plants, we know that I can type in a name, and we currently have some dummy data, but I can type a name like pawpaw, and since it's dummy data, it doesn't matter, I just happen to misspell it. And then that will take us to our dummied up list of information. We click on that, and then it takes us to a detail screen, and this is basically just a web view. The trick is we don't yet have it so that the GPS a plant screen will actually return a plant back to the GPS. So if I go to the GPS a plant screen, I'll go through the same flow and I'll end at the same detail screen. We want to change this. When I choose Find Specimen, it should bring some indication of the specimen back to this screen, and that's what we need to change. Now, if I take a look at Location Finder, this is the activity we're currently looking at, the GPS a plant. That's the location we're currently looking at. And we see that when we invoke the search activity, when we click the search button, it's going to put in this extra that says show details false. And what that means is we don't want to go to that details screen, we don't want to go to that web page. We just want the data to return to us. So we pass it from Location Finder screen, and we pass it from there to the plant search activity. The plant search activity, and it's on create, it picks that information up, and then it passes that along to the next activity, which is the plant results activity. So we see it's passing on show details. When we go to the plant results activity, we see in its on list item click, if show details is true, it goes back to the detail page. If show details is not true, we go to this else part. So this is what we'll call a decision structure in programming. We have the word if, then we have some condition in parentheses. That condition must either be the value true or false, or it must evaluate to the value true or false. That's what we call a Boolean value. So we'll see that show details is a Boolean value. If it's true, then we go to the details page. If it's false, what we do is we do something called putExtra, where we take the item that the user selected and we put it into the intent, and then we say the result finished okay, and then we invoke finish. What happens there is interesting. When we invoke finish, what it's going to do, it's going to close this activity and return to the calling activity. So let's take a look at that path. From GPS of plant, I choose find specimen. Remember, this is going to send a flag that says show details false, which means I don't want to go to that details screen. The rest of the flow will be the same, it's just not going to go to that details screen. So anyway, spelling doesn't really matter because, as we know, I'm just running against some dummy data anyway. I choose search. Now notice what's going to happen here. Since I went through the GPS of plant screen and not just the search screen, since my initial screen here was the GPS screen, when I click on one of these, I'm not going to go to the detail page. Okay, I choose one. And I end up going back to the search screen, which isn't exactly where I finally want to go. But you notice that I did not go forward rather, to the details screen. So let's see what we need to do to get this plant result from the result screen to the search screen back to the GPS screen. Okay, we know that right now we have the onList item click. And let me set a breakpoint here for the next time we run through this. Okay, we know that when we select a plant, and our initial screen was the GPS screen, show details is going to be false. And when that's false, it's going to come down and run this else part. With an if-else, these two are mutually exclusive. It's either going to do this or it's going to do this. And if else, it's either going to do this or it's going to do this. It will do the first part if the if condition evaluates to true. It will do the else part if the if condition evaluates to false. It's exactly what it sounds like. If true, do this, else do that. You have to be careful that curlies remain in balance, and you know the trick in Eclipse. If you put your cursor next to an open curly, the closed curly will highlight with a border. And so you can look at the matching curlies. That's probably one of the things that really tends to confuse people a lot in introductory programming is what the curlies are and where they belong. So we are taking this onList item click and we are returning data to the search screen. So what I'm going to do is make a constant out of this plant results. I'm going to say extract to constant. And for a constant, it's just a variable with that name and that value. That makes it easier for us to refer to this value later. I do need to change the access modifier to public. That means I'll be able to refer to this variable elsewhere. And there we go. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to capture this plant result on the plant search screen. So I Control-Shift-R, and I'm going to say plant search screen, plant search activity. And we know that when I return a value to an activity, it's going to call the onActivityResult. So in the onActivityResult, right now we're only looking at images, but we need to switch this, and we need to look at the original request code. So when we said onSearchClicked, we put a request code of plant results. So right now onActivityResult is only handling the case where we choose an image. What we need to do is well, first of all, let me clean this up so we can fit it better on one screen. What we need to do now is handle the case where we're getting data back from the search screen. Okay? When we call the search screen, we're running this onSearchClick method, and we provide that search screen with this constant value plant results. Okay? So now what I need to do is in the onActivityResult, we'll keep the if result okay. That one's important. We're also going to keep the select image. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the select image and I'm going to look for the corresponding close curly. So this is an if test here. I'm going to look for a close curly. So you see that's the close curly that lights up. Now we've seen a couple constructions so far. Here is an if test that does not have an else part. That means that this entire block between the curlies is optional, and it will only execute if the request code evaluates to select image. It will only operate if the request code evaluates to result select image. That means it will only operate if we chose to take a picture. Now what I can do is I can attach an else if as well. Else if with an open close curly. This means if the first if test did not run, we jump down to the else if and give that an opportunity to run if its test evaluates to true. So for this test, we're going to say result code equal, and then we'll use plant results. Okay, then we choose open curly and close curly. So what we're saying now is if the result code will select an image, that means that it came from the image capture. On the other hand, if request code is plant results, that means that we are getting a return from the plant search results screen, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Now let's take a look at what we're getting back from plant results. If I go to plant results activity, we will see that that is setting get list adapter get item ID position. That's kind of long-winded. Let me extract this out into a separate line so we can look at it one at a time. Okay, assign to new local variable. Oh, I didn't want that, not get item ID. I think I used the wrong method here, to be honest with you. 1 second. Get list adapter. Here, I'm going to take this away because that's a bit of a distraction. I think I'm calling the wrong method, so I'm about to fix that. Okay, get list adapter. No. Get item is what I wanted. Yeah, get item is what I wanted. Position. So this is saying give us the item that was selected. Okay. Control 1, assign to new local variable. Okay. We're going to say plant. Oops, plant. And I'll explain this as soon as I finish it. Selected plant equals get list adapter, get item position. Okay. Cast to plant. Okay. What we're doing is that the user has clicked on a plant. Okay? 1 second, please. The user has clicked on a plant. What we're going to do, let me rearrange these comments so it makes more sense. I'll make a comment here. The user has clicked on a plant in the list. Get the plant that the user clicked on. Okay? Return the selected plant to the calling activity. The user has selected a plant. Okay? We're going to take that plant and we're going to figure out which plant the user clicked on. And then we're going to return that plant to the activity that called this activity. This activity is the plant results activity that was invoked by the plant search activity. So plant result, selected plant, like so, and save. Okay? Now it's going to get a little bit upset with me because this putExtra doesn't know what a plant is. If I take a look at this.getIntent.putExtra, it has to match one of these things we call method signatures here. It has to be a boolean, a bundle, a byte, a character sequence, on and on and on. The one that's of interest to us is this option here, which is a serializable. Serializable simply means we can take an object we can convert it from an object in memory to bytes, and then we can write those bytes to a file. We just have to give this thing permission to be serialized. So what I need to do then is Control-Shift-R, look for plant, and I need to add a little line here. I need to add public class plant implements serializable. Okay, I Control-Shift-O to organize imports. And by implementing serializable, I'll put that in comments here. By implementing serializable, we are stating that this class can be turned into bytes and saved on disk or sent across a network. Okay, that's all we need to do. And now given that, I go back to my plant search activity, plant results activity rather, sorry. Okay, and now you see it's happy. Now it's happy. Okay, now it's taking this plant and it's passing it back to the method that called us. And it's associating that with this constant called plant result. So let's see, we have a breakpoint here. Let me go to the plant search activity. Okay, and in the onActivityResult, what I'm going to do is we are going to retrieve, let's get the plant that was passed back to us. So I'm going to say this dot, let's say this dot get, actually hang on one second. One of the things we get in this method is this thing called intent data, okay? And that is the intent that we just called. That is a reference to the intent that we just called that's returning information to us. So if I want to get data out of that intent, I'm going to say data.get serializable extra. And now I need to pass it that constant, which was, let's see, plant results activity dot plant result. Okay, a little bit tricky there. See that plant results activity dot plant result? That's the information that was put into, that was the information that's being passed back to us from plant results activity. So remember that name, plant result? Here you see plant result. This is in the plant results activity. And we're passing to this intent the plant that the user selected. So back here, back in the plant search activity, by using that same constant, we can get access to the plant that the user selected. And then what I can say is simply plant Okay, sorry, my microphone cut off there, so I had to rewind. In any case, what I have is plant selected plant equals plant data.get serializable. So we're getting this plant back from the results activity. And then I put up a toast.make text here that will just temporarily, so that we can make sure we're getting the plant back, it will show some information about that plant. So what I'm going to do is snap a breakpoint here. This is one of those things where the debugger is going to be a big help. And again, I'll stress, if the programming is a bit difficult, if you're struggling with this, your best friend is the debugger. Your best friend is the debugger. So, okay, so I saved that. And now let's go ahead and debug, and let's watch it hit these breakpoints, and let's watch what happens. We're not completely done yet, but we're getting close. So Control M, and then I'm going to go up, and I'm going to say debug as Android application. I don't think we need to change anything there, honestly, but okay, we'll go ahead and save it. And now we just wait for the debugger to render. Now, with this deployed to the emulator, let's see what happens when we choose GPS a plant. And then we choose a search from there. So I choose GPS a plant, and remember, we want to associate a GPS with a plant. So I'm going to choose Find Specimen. And it will bring up the search screen. Okay, I'm going to enter any old name. Doesn't matter since we still have not live data. And I'm going to choose search. This is where the debugger is going to start kicking in. So let's watch the debugger. Again, if you're struggling in this class, the debugger is your best friend. And the debugger is very easy to do. We come through and we're getting the plant name that the user searched on. Okay. And I'm going to choose F6, which will allow me to step through this one line at a time. Okay, so we get the plant name, pawpaw, as I misspelled it, and we're going to call the plant results activity, and we're going to pass it show details, which is set to false, which means we don't want to go to the details screen. And I'll go ahead and choose continue. Okay. Now, on the details screen, what we're doing is we're going to initiate a plant search task. And we're going to tell it to search for plants that meet this search term. And again, we know it's actually going to search against dummy data. Okay, so there we go. We're running our thread in the background. We're getting our plants. And we are going to show the plant options to the user. So at this point, it renders the plant results screen. I can select one of these plants, and when I select one of these plants, the method onListItemClicked will be called. So I select a plant. Okay. We said we don't want to show details, so watch very closely what's going to happen here when I choose F6. When I choose F6, it's going to go to the next line it can execute. Show details is false, and that's important. If the condition in the parentheses evaluates to false, then this entire block will not execute, and it will skip to the else. So I choose F6 and watch. It goes all the way from here to here. Note that these two are mutually exclusive. We're either going to do an if or we're going to do an else. Now, this is the line that we changed. We're getting a plant back that the user clicked. We choose F6, and again, this is where the debugger is really, really nice. I can mouse over this variable, and we see it's showing I chose the Susquehanna pawpaw. Okay, it shows that's the one that I chose. We're going to now put that pawpaw onto the onto our return intent. We're going to say that everything finished okay, and then by choosing finish, what's going to happen is this screen, which is our result screen, is going to close, and action is going to return back to the screen that called the search result screen. So I choose play now, and let's watch what happens. Okay, the result screen is going to go away. And what's going to come up now is we're going to go back to the calling screen, and we're providing that calling screen with some information. So, did we do a select image like a camera? No, we didn't. So I choose F6, and it's going to jump us down to the else if part. Now, did we go to the plant results screen? Okay. Oh, you know what? Gosh, it actually returned not what I expected there. So I have a feeling this is not going to work. Plant results is set to 2, but then why did that return a -1 for result code? That's a bit curious. Okay, I need to look into that. And I see exactly what I did. I compared result code. I should have compared request code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix that. I'm going to change it to request code. And through the magic of recording, I'm going to redeploy this and get us right back here. I'm going to pause the recording. I'm going to redeploy this and get us right back here. So that should have been request code. I apologize for that, but I'll take us right back here with this fix in place. So I'm going to do that now, but I'll pause it. So the next word you hear from me will be us right back at this position with the proper request code. Oh, as a matter of fact, oh, that's interesting, because you see it did a hot swap there, but I don't think that'll work. Okay, I'll be back in just a moment. And with the magic of recording, here we are. So there are 3 different things that are passed into this method. The request code, which is an int that indicates some code that we pass to the method we're calling. A result code, which indicates whether it went okay or not. And then finally a piece of data. So I'm going to choose F6 on the if part, and we're going to come down to this else part. We see the request code is 2, which is the same as the constant we're passing in. So we will be able to get back the plant that was passed to us. Okay. Not happy with this either now. What doesn't it like? I might have to do a fix here as well. And while on pause, I believe I found a very minor yet important step that I missed. What it is again, very minor. Going to the plant results activity, I am calling this setResult, result OK. I need to do one other thing, and that is I need to pass in, I need to call a slightly different method signature. This.setResult. I need to pass the intent. So result OK, and then this.getIntent. So I need to tell it that I want to pass back to the search screen this data that I'm populating in the results screen. So just a moment, and I'll pause, and again, I'll get us back to where our breakpoint should be, and we'll finish up this session. And with a bit of time machine magic, we're back now. So onActivityResult, again, this is after I have selected an item from the results screen. We're coming back to the search screen. I'm going to F6, and it's going to come down and say, is this result coming from plant results? Which it is. Now, since I made that fix on the previous screen where I told it to push the data back to the calling screen, we're going to see we're going to get the selected plant, no problem this time. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a toast. So I'm going to bring the emulator up, and I'm going to move the clips off to the side, and I'm going to hit play. And what we should see now is we're back in the search screen, and there's our toast. So we see that we were able to go, let me disconnect the debugger now, and let me do this all over again. Watch this flow. I choose GPS a plant, and from there I choose find specimen. I type in any text because it's dummy data anyway. I hit search. Okay, I select something, and I'm going to move this off screen so we can see the toast. I select an item, and after I select, it's going to go back and render the search screen again, and it's going to show me some confirmation text on what I selected. So everything works there. Now the trick is we actually want to go back one more step, because we want to take this plant and we want to push it back to the GPS screen. So let's finish that up. Shouldn't take too much longer because we know what we're doing for now. We have all the ingredients, we just need to put them together. So instead of this toast.make text, I'm going to remove that. First of all, I'll Control M so that we can see the entire screen. And what I'm going to do now is exactly what I did. I'm in the plant search screen. We're returning back to the GPS screen. So I'm going to say this.getIntent, okay, .putExtra, and we're going to pass this straight on back. For the name, we'll say plant results activity .plant result. For the value, we're going to say selected plant. Okay, this is the part I got wrong before. We're going to say set result, and this time we're going to go with the result code of result. Almost got it there. Result OK, and then the next parameter is going to be this.getIntent, and then we're going to choose finish. Okay, so I'll put a comment here, and in the comment I'll say now pass the selected plant back to the GPS screen, or whatever the calling activity happens to be. Now on the GPS screen, on the location finder, we're going to have to make sure we are ready to receive this as well. So I'm going to go to the location finder. I'm going to Control O on activity result, and let's see what we have here. Okay, on activity result, we're close. We're saying if the result code is okay and the request code is the plant search, we're getting the plant name. Well, we've changed that. What we're going to do now, instead of plant name, is we're going to say data, and where data is the intent that's passing data back to us. We see right up here. We're going to say data that get serializable extra plant results activity dot plant result. Okay, we're going to save this as plant selected plant equals cast to plant, like so. Okay, Control Shift O, organize imports. Now for our toast.make text, we're going to change it to selected plant.getGenus. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's make this a separate variable altogether. Let's say plant name equals selected plant.getGenus. We're calling the getGenus method. And then a space, and then a like so, plus selected. Ooh, even better. No, I'm sorry, I have an even better idea. Plant name equals selected plant.toString. You might remember we made that several lessons ago. Okay, and I'll finish this up and put some comments to it in just a second. Okay, so we're going to say set the plant name to the toString of the plant object that we just received. Okay, so show the plant name and then change the description to be the plant name. I'm going to save and I'm going to run this, and because we've already seen some of this happen before, I won't turn on the debugger when I run this time, but we're going to watch the flow from GPS to search to results, then from results all the way back to GPS again. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose debug as, but then I'm going to terminate the debugger once it launches. Okay, debug as, we'll choose our open emulator. It'll take just a moment. And we have it now, so let's take a look. The goal is to get from this GPS screen to the search screen to the result screen back to the GPS screen, and that's why we use startActivityForResult. Type in any text we wish, hit search. Okay, choose our plant, and with any luck we come back to the GPS screen and take a look. It's just off screen, but you can see right there the toast came up, and take a look what appeared in the description. So again, from the GPS screen to the search screen, type in any text we want, hit search. This time we'll select the red bud, and it's going to take us all the way back to the GPS screen, this time populating it with the red bud. If we were to click search directly and bypass the GPS screen, we'll see that will still work the same way it always has. I put in any text I want, I hit search, it's going to take me to the results, but now what it's going to do when I click a result, it's going to take me to that detail page. So we see that by using a combination of intents and extras and startActivityForResult, we're able to make different navigation paths through the application. Some of those navigation paths will even take data and then return that data to a calling screen in the application. And that's where startActivityForResult comes in handy. So here we go. This is the web view that shows us details of that plant. So lots of good stuff here on intents, startActivityForResult, finishing an intent, onActivityResult, and a lot of the other methods that are going to make navigation very handy. So I'll leave you with that tonight. In our next video, I'm going to answer a couple more questions that are related to programming, and we're going to take a look at a little bit of refactoring. That video probably won't be nearly as long as this one, but that should round us up for the week. Thank you.